This week in White Supremacy. Oh, we got the gunshots. All right, come on now. My name is Jasiri X. I'm co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media. And the weather's changing, right? We getting 65, 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Finally.
I went to the car wash the other day.
Come on, man.
The queue was wild long.
Yes. To my immediate right.
It is.
What are you trying to say, brother?
It's a miracle.
See, I'm trying to be on my piece. I'm trying to be on my piece.
Miracle doesn't want peace. She wants problems always.
You're in your royal purple, Miracle?
For Ramadan, we have to be peaceful.
Okay. Yeah.
And kind.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing that into the room because I'm not going to lie. I'm struggling this month.
Yes.
You know, it has been, Ramadan was easy for me until yesterday.
Oh.
And then I just hit a wall yesterday and I was just like,
What was it about yesterday, Miracle? Was it that you had to work on
I think it was getting up.
the National Black Women's Day of Rest?
It was like getting up early. I don't know what.
That we had a mandatory work day?
I was just like, oh, what? No, but I was like, oh my gosh, like I am not okay. Like I'm hungry right now, and I'm like, I want what? Like everything is like, oh, I was like, okay, we're almost at our halfway point. This is when it gets real. But anyways,
true.
it's your girl. We're gonna say Mashallah Miracle because I'm trying to be better.
Yes.
You know, aka big blessings with the big blessings. I'm here.
Star of the show, yes. And my brother.
It's your boy Trevor Nonetheless, Never Like Supremacy, Next Level Serene.
Got the pink on today,
Yes, yes indeed.
Okay.
I've also been
For protesting power. We've learned that from Nancy Pelosi. And
I hate that so much. Now I kind of want to take the hoodie off. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I've also been practicing Ramadan.
Dope. Yeah.
I have found it pretty easy this year.
Okay.
Yesterday I did take a nap at some point because I was like, I'm way too tired to resist urges right now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
If you're able to take a nap and you can take those like hour, 2 hours, it definitely works. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And sir.
Socially avoided, irritable, and despised.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like anything that advises you or encourages you to be peaceful is going to be a problem with you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I've been very, can I be honest with you?
Yes.
I sold my gun.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Maybe not the right time now, but you know,
I'll buy a new one. Yeah, buy something better.
Can you? You might not. I don't know. You might not be able to get one. I mean, the rights are changing. We'll get into that. A lot's happening as usual.
Too much is happening.
But one of the principal things that's happening is the economy is falling very, very quickly. Some are calling it a Trump session.
Trump session is crazy.
Yes. I don't know if it's too early to maybe rename him Donald Slump.
Okay.
But let's use Donald Trump's own words. This is Donald Trump from August 5th, 2024.
Stock markets are crashing.
Continue, please.
Job numbers are terrible. We are heading into World War III, and we have two of the most incompetent leaders in history. Not good. This is not good.
That is so accurate for where we are right now. He also
don't we have three leaders right now?
Who's the third?
Vance.
Nah, Vance ain't got no sway.
So it's just
Vance ain't got no sway. Yeah, Trump and Musk are the leaders, and they are showing to be incompetent leaders right now.
Yeah.
Remember, Trump
Who would
said,
have thought that two people that have never held any political office get into the White House and have to advise people
who would have thought
it's going to go right?
The guy
thought
that
it was going to go right.
Ruined the economy the last time he was president. Ruining. Remember, he said day one.
Yeah.
He said, remember when right before the election, when the stock markets were doing really good? Again, Biden had this very strong economy.
Yeah.
Remember Donald Trump was saying, the reason the stock markets are doing good is because they know I'm about to get elected.
Yeah.
Well, now you're there, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And the stock market lost 1,000 points. You know what I'm saying? It dropped dramatically. There was an
I'm
article
sure that has nothing to do with the trade wars, the Hunger Games.
Again, I mean, it looks well. They said that
What was the Hunger Games song? Was in Three Fingers?
I don't remember, but they said that one of the main reasons was that Donald Trump did this interview with Fox News, and they asked him directly about the economy, and he didn't give a response that was convincing or that had people feeling good. Did you want to play that?
Are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherited a mess, and you said that the
I've
other
only
night.
been here,
But are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great.
When?
It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. You know.
A little bit of
tightrope walked.
Yes.
And played hopscotch in a minefield.
Yes.
With that question.
And that lack of
answer?
Well, more so the lack of confidence in his own plans. You know, it was Trump.
Remember, he said he had concepts of plans. He never said he had plans.
Right.
He had concepts of a plan.
But remember, it was like he decided to, and then it says off again, on again. I'm putting tariffs on Canada and Mexico. I'm taking them away. I'm putting them on Canada and Mexico. I'm taking them away. It's almost like he's not even following through on his own plans. But you know, it was him that decided all these to you know, take Russia's side globally, to make Europe an enemy now, Canada an enemy now, our American friends, to the point where like somebody asked, like X has a AI.
Yeah, Grok, right?
Yeah, Grok.
I never knew that was until that.
Somebody asked like, hey, is Donald Trump a Russian agent?
And it was 80% something.
It said more, it was like 86%.
Yeah.
Like, this is what a Russian agent would do. Miracle, coming to you. What do we do now?
I mean, I don't think Russian is a language that we're going to be able to learn within 6 months. So I don't know.
I know a couple words.
Listen, the trade wars to me have been hilarious because Canada, like, big ups to your home country.
Yes.
Because we thought like Canada was like this peaceful, quiet, you know, town. And they have been like Nuck if you buck. Like they have been
the Canuck if you buck?
Canuck if you buck.
Canuck if you buck is great.
All right. They have been like, oh, we are doing teachings about BDS and how you can look and figure out if it is American made or American sourced.
Yeah.
That one of the, I don't know, I would say like a mayoral type person was like, we're going to increase the electricity bill for 25%.
Oh, the premier of Ontario, Doug Ford. Yeah.
So we're increasing electricity. We are.
And then some said, well, we're going to do our thing. You know what I mean? Like,
they were like, this is on you. They did a whole press conference talking to the American people. They have been doing recipes. The chefs have been cooking and telling people how you can cook meals without American products, what are Canadian alternatives.
Yeah.
That the Canadians have banded together.
They even did something, Miracle, where they were like, we're actually going to also like punish like the red state. They even did a thing of like, we're not going to punish California because California like voted for Kamala Harris. We're going to punish the actual states that supported Donald Trump's presidency.
And it's easier for Canada to do that because most of those red states border Canada. So specifically like
Michigan,
all those northern states, you know what I mean, where kind of all America blends together. Those are mostly red states. So those are the places that are going to receive the clean energy from Canada first and are easiest to tax and hit with tariffs and penalization because of the proximity to the Canadian border.
Bloomberg posted an article, Miracle in Trouble. It says billionaires at Trump's swearing in have since lost $209 billion.
And you know, that is
it's only March.
That should be a sign.
Yes.
That is going to be the reason if anything happens to him that it happens.
Oh
to
shit!
him.
Right.
Oh wow!
Because of, like the billionaire class losing money. Because at the end of the day, we saw with COVID, billionaires have the money, but the people have the power. And if the people are not going to work, if the people are not buying the products, then you have no ability to make your money. And we're also starting to see Americans be like, okay, we're also going to be doing these boycotts, these strategic boycotts, to build up to the bigger strike that's supposed to be happening in 2028. So you're seeing that. I do think that tariffs are stupid. I will also say, if you don't have a border, you don't have tariffs, but we're in a parking lot that we're going to put that to the side.
Yes.
I think democracy and figure out how to come to the table and be like, how much money do each of our countries and municipalities need? And having that conversation and figuring out how you get business and private equity to do the right thing is easier than doing the tariffs. And also, the tariff queen right now is the president of Mexico.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
I forgot her. I don't know. It's Claudia. I don't know how to say her last name. Has literally has called Trump's bluff every single time.
Yes. Yeah.
Every single time. And so he keeps delaying some of these tariffs.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite funny how she is basically this radical leftist president in Mexico who's fighting for her people, bringing rights, supporting the marginalized folks, but also saying like, we do not have to have an enemy of the United States if you fix your country.
Right.
All of our countries are going to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something where I think she put something out where they were saying like, even like, you know, Trump was trying to say like, oh, it's the fentanyl. And they, you know, they have to stop the fentanyl coming, where it was like 80% of those people that were caught with fentanyl
were American. That was from the DOJ.
Yeah. That's like from your own people, right?
So you're not bringing your best.
Right.
You're not bringing your best. Right.
Well, in those lists of billionaires.
Just the meth and the whitest.
No, you gotta remember, it was, I want to say it was in Arizona. It was the police chief. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
She was the drug pin. She was the queen pin. Right? So when you think about it, it's not even, it's not us.
Yes. It's funny that Trump is like, oh, this is just a transition. Is it? But again, like you told us.
Can't say that word, Donald.
Right.
You can't say that word. Yo, listen. That'd be crazy if like Elon came over and covered his mouth up. He's trying to say that shit.
That is so funny.
Yeah, you can't say. Come on, Donald. You know better than that.
Well, when it comes to the billionaires, the biggest loser of money when it comes to the billionaires, down 150 billion, according to Bloomberg, is Elon Musk. Elon Musk has...
Child support for the muskrats must be high. That's what it is.
They said he got another on the way.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, again, like, I don't know. I guess maybe, you know,
a pack of muskrats.
Well, he needs like another shield, like another child shield. So like maybe the child shield he's getting a little big. So he's like, yo, I need to have another child so I can wear him around my head so no one takes a shot at me.
They said Elon Musk is going to keep having kids so one of them likes him.
Oh, shit.
I seen that shit and I was weak, man.
Oh, no. Well, again, because Elon has been the face of Doge, right? And the face of all of these people losing their jobs. You know, he's come out really clearly talked about.
Can't say come out. Can't, man. Can't say transition. Can't say come out.
He's talked about cutting Social Security. He's talked about, you know, they were saying, oh, we cut $8 billion, turned out to be $8 million. But meanwhile,
huge difference.
Right.
It's a huge difference.
Meanwhile, Elon Musk is getting all of these government contracts. So he's become the face of this, right? He's in the Oval Office. He's doing dual interviews. Like, when have we ever seen the president of the United States doing a dual interview with some private citizen?
It's crazy.
Like, we have never seen this in the history of this country. And so people are boycotting Tesla. They're boycotting his products. And Elon did another interview. Again, Elon and Trump are just on Fox News all the time. Do you want to play the clip of Elon being asked about his businesses?
Action. You're hearing a call to action.
Yeah.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean,
But there's no turning back, you're saying.
You can turn back.
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient.
Wow.
Eliminate waste and fraud.
Is that why?
So far, we're making good progress.
It
Call
said
to action.
on
Hold on.
Most of us are moved by the white scales because we don't actually think they're real.
yesterday, Tesla stock fell 15%, losing $16 billion in one day, becoming the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 this year. Is this working? You have Miracle a shirt on about organizing, right?
It's my favorite color too. Miracle is great. My favorite color.
Is this organizing working now? Again, Elon looks like he got emotional. He's
Listen, I don't think that he is. I'm trying to Google what the hashtag is. I think it's take down Tesla.
Oh, okay.
So every Saturday, people protest at the Tesla dealership.
That picture in Chicago where all those police were in front of the Tesla was crazy.
Wait, what happened?
People have been returning their Teslas. People have been damaging Teslas. All at the same time promoting these Chinese. It's a Chinese and Japanese alternative to Tesla. So Tesla is losing a lot. And then they're also trying to encourage companies not to do business with Tesla. And then you also got to worry about the European Union possibly banning X and Twitter and reducing Elon's reach after, the debacle that was the Germany election.
Well, there was a cyber attack on Twitter yesterday, or X was down. You just had SpaceX. You just had his rocket blow up in midair.
They said they was renaming it to the Gulf of SpaceX debris.
At this point, Elon Musk is a sugar baby. He is a welfare queen.
Oh, wow.
So much of his money coming from the government.
Jesus
Christ. That he is able to do these experiments. So now people are starting to look at him as not a person who's trimming the fat or draining the swamp. He is someone who's taking advantage and trying to burden the American people so he can fatten his pockets and basically waste all of our money on these failed experiments as he cuts Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. And so you're starting to see the tide turn on Elon Musk. And it's finally, because this is not to be xenophobic, but it's going to sound xenophobic, and I recognize that. But you have someone who's not an American, who was not raised in America, who became an American a couple of years ago in the highest offices in power, making decisions for everyday working class American people for a culture he was not raised in or a part of. And I think you're starting to see why there is a rule that you cannot be president if you are not an American citizen, born in America or descending from an American parent, because of things like this. And again, I understand how problematic that sounds. I'm recognizing that. But you have this individual who is literally talking about why it's important to cut Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security, which is the fabric of social supports for this country. It is how we take care of our elderly. It is how we allow people to retire from dignity. And he's just who cares? It's not making us a profit. We gotta throw it out.
I heard something that said 2/3 of elderly Americans survive off of Social Security. That if, again, and you kind of have talked about this before, Miracle, where if you cut Social Security, now children are forced to take care of their parents and live with their parents, and what does that change, and how, like you said, it literally could change the fabric of how families look in the United States.
And I think it's really funny because you have a lot of white Republicans talking about, the culture of America. We do not have that family structure of a culture where you stay with your parents all your life, right? It's this idea that you leave when you're 17 and 18, or we don't have that structure, right? Then you also got to think about how many people do not want to take care of their racist and bigoted parents. I think we have to be very real about this, because they've been talking about the Love is Blind, 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 Love thing where people broke up because they were like, we don't want to marry conservative men, right? That's been a conversation on social media where 2 of the men were dumped because they were conservative. So you also have this idea of like, if you are going to take away Social Security, you are going to force people to take care of their families. And if you're trans or if you're queer or if you're Muslim, you know, what are you going to do for your Republican mother and father,
right,
who basically has disowned you or disavowed you? Now these elderly people who voted for Trump are going to be homeless, destitute, on the street with no community circle to take care of them, because that's socialism. So now what is our country going to look like? And that cultural upheaval, I don't think we're prepared for.
Yeah, I seen this thing online where people were saying that white Americans and just Americans in general would rather take a Medicare cut from a white man than free health care, I'm using finger quotes, from a black man. And,
wow.
and it's placed such an interesting lens on things, especially as I'm about to read this next quote, as Miracle had just highlighted about Elon Musk being an immigrant, a South African immigrant, relatively close to Nazism, relatively and super close to apartheid. His parents made money off emerald mines, if I'm not mistaken. So exploitation is right within his DNA. And coming to America and essentially inflicting the same systems that his family was notorious for on American citizens. So this quote is super interesting where Donald Trump says, to Republicans, conservatives, and all great Americans, Elon Musk is putting it on the line in order to help.
Wait. That doesn't sound like Donald Trump. Sir.
You're right. It doesn't.
What are you doing? Just reading? No. Yeah, I think. Well, let's set it up, right?
Yeah.
You know, in Elon's time of need, right?
It's crazy.
Where Elon, you know, again, one day lost 16 billion, has lost billions of dollars. He's on TV almost crying.
Yeah.
He needed somebody.
Are moved by white tears because we don't actually think they're real.
He needed somebody to come to his rescue. And although the stock market as a whole
we all need somebody.
Lost $4 trillion.
$4 trillion, damn.
To come to Elon's rescue.
Yeah.
Donald Trump took to his Truth Social, and this is what he had to say.
To Republicans, conservatives, and all great Americans, Elon Musk is putting it on the line. Thin blue line, great line, borderline, it doesn't matter.
Hairline. In
order to help our hairline. I see what you did there, Jasiri. Nasty man. Nasty black man right there. In order to help our nation that you may not longer be welcomed in. Keep it up, Minister X. He's doing a fantastic job, the best job we've ever seen, but the radical left lunatics, such nasty people, as they often do, are trying to illegally, collusively boycott Tesla. Wonderful cars, the greatest cars, are fireproof. They drive very far. Amazing cars. One of the world's great automakers, and Elon's baby, such a sweet baby, in order to attack and do harm to Elon and everything he stands for. They try to do it. They try to do it to me at the 2024 presidential ballot box. But how did that work out?
Not good for any of us.
Not good for anybody, but I'm still here. In any event, I'm going to buy a brand new Tesla tomorrow morning and show off the confidence and support for Elon. A truly great American, not a nasty immigrant. He has enough money to afford the gold card. He's great in my book. His card looks like my skin.
Oh.
Why should he be punished for putting his tremendous skills to work in order to help make America great again?
Thank you. Yes, Donald Trump called Tesla's boycott illegal.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess Elon was trying to put some spin on it as to like this was George Soros was conspiring with the group of folks to.
I mean, how far can you put, like, the thing is, his was so frustrating about this.
Yes.
Right? If you just think critically about this, there's a paper trail when it comes to money.
Yes.
You can trace all of this shit. So you can only pass the buck but so far till some economist, somebody who has enough time on their hands just goes back a few months and says, this is what things look like statistically and factually. Then versus now.
Yes.
And that's what they did. And then that's why Trump was kind of squirming under the pressure of that question, asking about the recession, because he knows that you can, like, he's a businessman. He knows finance. He knows numbers, right? His acumen is not what I'm calling into question. It's the fact that that's his background. That's why he couldn't definitively answer that question, because he knew that the blame would ultimately fall on him.
Of course. And again, he knows, he said, you know, because there's going to be just a little disturbance. Like, they knew.
Yeah.
Again, there was a post right before the election where somebody said this was going to happen, that the economy was going to go down, but then it was going to come back. And Elon Musk was like, that's exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's like these folks that voted and are losing their job. It was fascinating because one went viral where it was a woman from West Virginia, voted for Trump, had the big Trump 2024 flag, and lost her job. And one of the things
Most of us are moved by white tears because we don't actually think they're real.
But one of the things that was fascinating is that West Virginia, a state that like Donald Trump won like overwhelmingly, is also a state that has one of the highest rates of federal workers. And so that these federal job cuts are going to impact a state like West Virginia, one of the most.
Yep.
And again, it's like you thought it was cool when you thought black folks were getting punished, immigrants were being punished, brown folks were being punished, gay and trans people were being punished. It was cool. That's what you voted for. But now you're losing. And even the very billionaires that wrote check to Trump, they're losing. So it is, at what point do we get to, you know, when this is a change going to happen, a shift going to come? Maybe JD Vance is quiet because he knows, like, you know, maybe they get Trump out of there, you know? And it was interesting that Trump called the boycotts. Obviously, not buying a product isn't illegal. Although, remember,
you're exercising your right as a consumer.
But remember, Elon Musk sued advertisers because they didn't want to advertise on X. He sued them, like, how dare you? So again, this is a weird thing, but what actually is illegal is what the Trump administration is trying to do with a permanent resident named Mahmoud Khalil. So this was a story that also went viral. Mahmoud Khalil was somebody who recently graduated from Columbia University, and he's Palestinian, right? But I guess like from Algeria, was that
Syria?
Or Syria, right? So, but a permanent legal resident, has a green card. He was in the leadership of those organizing protests at Columbia University, and he was arrested. And do we know where he is even at right now? Did they find out where he is?
Louisiana.
Wow. So he was arrested. He was disappeared. There was talk of like whether or not the people that arrested him knew that he had a green card. Supposedly, they're saying they're going to revoke his green card as of this point. It said the Trump administration did not lay out any legal authority for his arrest. So we don't know, but they're saying that Secretary of State Mark Rubio relied on the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952 that I guess gives him power to, quote, expel foreigners. But you were telling us, Miracle, yesterday that because he has a green card, it has to go before a judge. It went before a judge. The judge temporarily blocked his deportation. So
he's not eligible for deportation at the moment.
Right.
So basically, until you're an American citizen, your ability to stay in the United States or remain in the United States can always be revoked.
Right.
But it cannot be just at the drop of a dime.
It can't just be because you're Donald Trump. You don't like the fact that he was organizing these protests. You just tried to make these protests illegal, although that's against our First Amendment rights. And from what we're understanding, he hadn't done any criminal behavior. Right. Like, you might not like the what he's organizing for. You might not like the way he's organizing, but right now he hasn't done anything illegal.
Yeah, so that's basically why the Trump administration has been trying to change all the rules so that they have like this unilateral power to do these things.
Yeah.
Because he was never arrested and charged with a crime and convicted of a crime or had a hearing, they had no grounds to even detain him, number one. If they wanted to deport him, he has to have a trial. Right. Even it's a mini mock trial, he has to have the ability to defend himself and what is called rebut, but basically put his own defense and sit there and say, like, no, he did not do these things, and no, he's not working to support a terrorist government. Right. What they've said now is that he is aligned with Hamas. He's aligned with a terrorist government. Right. The law is, but you cannot materially support a terrorist organization. Okay. And the reason why is the Unabomber. How many people do we know have the gray hoodies, who study the Unabomber, who go and do these like reenactments, Civil War reenactment, of
Ted Kaczynski?
Yes.
I did not know that was a thing.
We just had on Netflix, you just had Jeffrey Dahmer TV show, right?
Yeah.
You were able to align with a terrorist. You were able to align with a serial killer. You were able to do all of these things.
With a mass murderer.
All this in the United States. What you cannot do is materially support the violence and materially support an organization who is trying to do that. And that is taking direct payments to advocate on their behalf. It is recruiting people to do acts of violence. It's creating violence in service or allegiance to. It's leaving the country, trying to join their ranks. There's a whole thing of showing you have to do. This idea that you can align, there are neo-Nazi groups in the United States of America. There are paramilitary white supremacist orgs in the United States of America. These terrorist organizations that function in the United States, the reason nobody gets arrested is because there's no material support to further their cause. And so this alignment thing is not in law. There's no case law to sit there and say you're aligning is something illegal and therefore you can be thrown out of the country. Right. They're trying to make stuff up and confuse people. The law is very clear. If you think somebody's doing a bad thing, you have to prove that they're doing a bad thing. You arrest them, you accuse them of something, you bring them into court, you have a hearing, and then you move forward based on what the court says. That what is happening now is that people are trying to circumvent that and have universities charge people with things, and in the university you may or may not be able to defend yourself, and then try to use that to create a deportation de facto proceeding.
I actually don't know if that is the emphasis behind this. To me, I would believe, like, again, Trump is, this xenophobic, basically like kind of bigot blowhard, but this to me is really about preventing further protests. They know that, like, they'll probably lose this case legally on a legal grounds, but if you're somebody that may be thinking about organizing a protest, I mean, again, what they did do was rode up on this man. Imagine you walking into your home or attempting to go into your home with your 8-month pregnant wife, and agents coming up, arresting you, and then flying you to Louisiana. Yeah, where we talk about like
facility right up the street.
Oh no, you want to put him in the worst condition, away from his family, not telling your family where you are, and then trying to do this hearing to like expel you from the country. And so now, if you're somebody that is on a green card or a foreign visa, you're gonna think twice about, should I organize in my campus? Should I do these organized? To me, this is like to scare people. I'm going to Farouk in trouble.
So for me, this is particularly frightening.
Because your name is Farouk, I was like,
well,
not to make it funny.
A whole bunch of reasons. Like technically, like, I fit the profile of somebody this could happen to very easily. Right. As a dual citizen. And I'm urging people to really think critically about when Trump said he planned to end birthright citizenship, it just did not stop right there. Right. That extended to all people who were immigrants, first gen, dual citizens, recently naturalized, green card holders.
Even black people under the 14th Amendment.
And that's the thing, like, this particularly impacts black Americans because the initiation to revoke citizenship has already begun. And they're trying to this is trying to qualify who is and who isn't American, right? This is definitely like one of those fuck around and find out moments, right? What makes this even more interesting is that you have the pale face of racism herself, Ann Coulter, who questioned this. And
Really?
Ann Coulter said, there's almost no one I don't want to deport, but unless they committed a crime, isn't this a violation of the First Amendment? This is one of the most vile racists on the planet.
Right.
Questioning the methods of the Trump administration and how they're moving to treat lawful abiding American citizens
Because she knows,
green card holders.
Yeah, she knows that this is, and I'll go before I come to you, Trouble. I want to read from Khalil's attorney, Amy Greer. It says ICE's arrest and detention of Mahmoud follows the U.S. government's open repression of student activism and political speech.
Yeah.
Specifically targeting students at Columbia University for criticism of Israel's assault on Gaza. The U.S. government has made clear that they will use immigration enforcement as a tool to suppress speech. So then again, any speech that is against Donald Trump or against Elon Musk, any speech now can be looked at. Remember, J.D. Vance just came out and was like, oh, these protesters tried to harass me and my 3-year-old daughter. And it's like, you have Secret Service around you, but these were folks from the Ukraine, right? So now this is, to me, meant to chill anybody, particularly if you're not a full-fledged citizen. You trying to do any critique on Donald Trump or his folks, it's a wrap. Trouble?
So this is my beef with anyone who has touched billions of dollars being involved in politics. Because the reality is, and as we're seeing, they don't represent us as a people. They've never been in a position where they have to think about where their next meal is coming from.
Right.
They've never been in a position where they have to seriously consider how they're going to, get job security and ensure that they have enough money to retire comfortably. And they've, for a long time, been in a position where they can exploit the power that they've gained through these billions.
Yes.
Because they're able to exploit that power, now the things that they do are not reminiscent of the general populace of American people.
To take it a step further, Trouble, now they can also pay for a gold card, like Farouk said. Now you can pay $5 million and basically pay for your American citizenship.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And to have these people making decisions, it's like, for anyone who supported Trump, I hope that you're seeing that, one, he doesn't represent you as a person. He represents the billionaires that he surrounded himself with. Two,
not even doing a good job of representing
right.
them.
Two, by sitting silently as he tries to revoke the rights of people to speak out against the ways they've been oppressed by the government. What happens when that now comes to you?
Yes.
And what happens to your ability to organize against a regime? I'll call it a regime.
Yes.
That is actively trying to revoke your rights as a citizen of the United States. How is this making America great in any way?
Right.
It's, and it's more the same of that, because again, this House bill that was put into, I think litigation is the word, that would take the nonprofit status away from nonprofits that qualify for quote unquote hate speech.
Right.
Right. This is just another way to repeal protective acts, a protectorate, and consider anybody a terrorist or anti-American. This is very reminiscent of the Nixon regime, of when they were trying to call people communists and put them in, other them in a way that they could be politically crucified or prosecuted outside of like your local jurisdiction. So once it becomes federal, you lose all your protections.
Right. I mean, you just had Elon Musk, remember this was a few weeks ago, tweet out like a list of, and all these charities, the thing that these charities have in common, where they were just all Islamic charities.
Yeah.
And like, just because they were Islamic charities, attached them to somehow supporting terrorism. Before I come to you, Miracle, I want to read Donald Trump's statement. And Donald Trump said, following my previously signed executive order, ICE proudly apprehended and detained Mahmoud Khalil, a quote, radical foreign pro-Hamas student on the campus of Columbia University. This is the first arrest of many to come. We know there are more students at Columbia and other universities across the country who have engaged in pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, anti-American activity, and the Trump administration will not tolerate it. Many are not students. They are paid agitators. We will find, apprehend, and deport these terrorist sympathizers from our country, never to return again. If you support terrorism, including the slaughtering of innocent men, women, and children, your presence is contrary to our national and foreign policy interests, and you are not welcome here. We expect every one of America's colleges and universities to comply. Thank you. It just happened. Remember, they just announced, I think it was earlier this week, that Columbia lost $400 million in federal aid because of, from what I guess was said, their inability to like deal with these protests or stop these protests.
Yeah, so that's what was my earlier point, is that now what you're going to start seeing is these universities try to have the sham hearings that will then be the pretext to allow these students to be deported. And they're going to say, oh, we didn't have to have a hearing for them. The university had these hearings and now they can be deported. And that's what they're going to start using. But yes, what you're seeing is universities literally selling their students so that they can have federal funds again. Things that wouldn't have to happen if we had free college, where college was already supported by our tax-based structure, and we changed the way we funded colleges and universities so they weren't beholden to billionaires who make these policies and create the issues. I also say, and this could be breaking a little bit of the fourth wall, if you will, when October 7th happened, universities shut down support and resources for Palestinians and Muslim students and organizations. They forced people to go out and protest instead of having a conversation, instead of bringing people in, instead of saying like, hey, we understand this is hard. I believe that even the University of Pittsburgh in their statements didn't even reference Palestinians.
Right.
When they were offering mental health services, when they were telling people, okay, we understand you may be upset and fearful. This is who you talk to. This is how you go to your administrator. This is how you get support.
Right.
Right. So what we saw as people who are being pushed out, then going to organize and protest.
Right.
And I think we even talk about here in Pittsburgh, where we even had our congresswoman try to bring people together and she was rebuffed, right? And people said, well, we don't want to hear from you and we want to do our own thing because we want to get you out of office. So we're not going to let you show up and be a support to our community. So a lot of this violence and chaos is once again the result of government officials failing to show up for community.
Right.
And failing to go and say, what does your community need? What does your community need?
Well, not just government official. You also said like college officials, just leadership in general
was absent.
Right. And there was a moment, like you said, where it could have been like, okay, in this moment, like, how do we hold one another close? How do we bring folks together? You know, we had the event in January with the Israeli brother who lost family on October 7th and the Palestinian brother who lost family subsequently thereafter, talking about like, how do we invest in peace? And we as an organization saw that as an opportunity, like you said, to bring people together in a positive, constructive way instead of doing that. So like you said, it reminds me of when Dr. King said, you know, the right is the language of the unheard. Like, if you don't create a space for people to have conversations, even in disagreement, to where, you know, what are the brothers' names? The Palestinian brother and the Israeli.
I remember it was Aziz
and like it was
Mao,
right. They don't agree on everything, but it's like we still can sit down and have a constructive. They agree on one thing, they want peace and they don't want any more deaths, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like they agree on all the details. And so, like you said, it's like these people in power, if you don't create that space, students created one for themselves and they wanted to be heard and they wanted to share. And college was supposed to be a place where we can engage in free think. Remember that? Remember when college was supposed to be
there
like
was a time and a place for everything, and it's called college.
Free ideas and free expression, and that's what this is about. And so here is Trump saying like, no, we didn't know that. It's on, unless so like, how do you at one time say you're bringing back free speech and at the same time you're trying to stifle and suppress it?
Right. You know, what brother Dr. Mark Lamont Hill said, you know, you have this except for Palestine. But I also think that this is a call for us to be in community and breaking the fourth wall again. Because, you know, a couple weeks ago, we were having rallies, we were bringing people together, and Farouk was supposed to talk at a protest.
Talk about a miracle. Let's go.
Farouk was supposed to come and speak about bringing people together and
what happened?
Talking about, and then because he is, you know, who he is.
Yes,
you know,
he is of Black and Arab descent.
Afro-Lebanese. Black Lebanese,
yeah.
you know, and had talked about his experience, it was like, well, we're afraid of what he's going to say, so he can't. We just, it's an issue.
Right. We want to just keep it on bashing Elon and bashing Donald Trump. We don't want to talk about these foreign policy issues.
And so still, we do not have the ability to see each other's humanity and the ability to have a conversation. And instead of saying, okay, can I have a conversation with you? It's going to be like, I think you think this, so I just can't be in space with you.
Right.
Instead of sitting there saying, this is what we're focusing on. Can you let me know what you're talking about? I would appreciate if you didn't say this, you know, and having those conversations.
Right.
I have conversations with people all the time because people look at me, they see me as like, you know, Angela Davis, Malcolm X,
yes,
you know, child,
obviously,
you know?
a television star as well.
And so I have conversations with people like, are you sure you want me to be at your table? This is what I've said. I always tell people, I'm like, I'm on the mission. Look at my social media. And I always give people the opportunity to say, you're not the person I want to build with. And I always say, what is message are you trying to get out? And how can we bring people in? Because I do think that people who've been radically excluded have to be radically included. And I think we have to have a space to sit there and say, we don't get along. My friend Dominique used to say, just because I want you to pay your phone bill does not mean I want you calling me. Just because you have a table does not mean I want to be at your table. And just because I have a home doesn't mean I want you to be there. Right. And with this idea that sometimes in building solidarity, we believe we have to be friends. I just want you to live, and that's where my solidarity ends. Yeah. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't even want to think about your existence. I just want you to be alive. And so what we are now seeing is that even though these fascists are coming after us, they're coming after queer people, they're coming after trans people, they're coming after teachers, they're coming after artists, our solidarity is so fractured because we want to sit there and say, well, this person doesn't deserve to live. This person doesn't deserve to be in my circle. And I just can't build with that person over there. Very problematic.
I would say it's interesting because I believe that you're 100% right. I think it also works on the other side. It's interesting because when I spoke at the Racial Justice Summit, I kind of talked about it from the other side, and I was encouraged. I was saying, agree with you, like, and you talked about it last week. We need a mass movement, right? We need a mass movement. In order to have a mass movement, you have to create enough space where everybody can get in. And so I was speaking to activists and saying to the activists, we also have to create spaces where, okay, well, maybe this person doesn't know all the words, right? Or maybe this person, you know, might not use this word, or maybe this person can't get arrested because they're the financial breadwinner of their family, right? Or maybe it's because they're undocumented, that we still have to create space with them and not be so, as activists, so like limited in our, oh, well, you got to say this and you got to believe this and you got to use your social media for this. And if you don't do these things, then you don't qualify to be in kind of our activist space. I think sometimes we can be restricting of that too, on the other side. And so kind of like you said, it's like this, we need this moment of, again, like coming together, right? We need this moment of saying like, yo, we don't all have to agree. Hey, Zuckerberg and Bezos, y'all want to come sit down at our table? We're all losing. We're all losing right now. You know what I'm saying? And like to be able to say that to where like, can we all be able to see or that, cause that's what we need. We need a movement where everybody's able to see what's happening right now and how it's being governed. Like you said, Trouble, it's their speech today. It's a green card holder today. It's a United States citizen tomorrow.
I want to challenge every activist and organizer that watches this show to ask yourself when you go home, how am I upholding white supremacy culture in the way that I practice? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I the activist who is telling people there's one right way to be an activist? That's upholding white supremacy culture. Am I the activist who feels like I have a right to comfort and don't want to share community with people I disagree with? That's upholding white supremacy culture. And I feel like once we get honest with ourselves about the ways in which we have accepted the invitation to practice white supremacy culture,
yes,
we can then diminish that within our own minds. And then if we each do that as an individual, when we come together as a collective, white supremacy culture has no foundation to stand on. I feel like it makes it easier for us to kind of move forward from that place.
Well, ironically, Trouble, speaking of white supremacy having a place to stand on, in Washington, D.C., they have now demolished Black Lives Matter Plaza near the White House. This was following the deaths of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor. The mayor of Washington, D.C. At the time, Mayor Bowser, put this huge mural up that said Black Lives Matter. It was really, this is when, Trump was still in office. It was really kind of this shot at Donald Trump that like, okay, this is DC and Black Lives Matter here. Well, Trump came back. And Trump said, check this out. Not my limousine going to be driving by this all the time. And to say that when the mayor of DC did this Black Lives Matter mural, that it was controversial, that like all black people wasn't, black people was like, we don't want a mural. We want actual justice.
Yeah, nobody asked for that.
We talked about it on this show, right? But it was symbolic. And for this symbol, Trump once gone. And it's interesting to me, this story showed me how much the federal government controls Washington, D.C., that the Republican controlled Congress, Senate, and obviously Donald Trump is talking about taking $1 billion in funding away from the city of DC. And it's almost like extortion. Like if you want this money from us, that's exactly what it is.
Exactly.
You have to remove this thing that says Black Lives Matter. And if you don't remove it, you're not going to get this money. You have comments on that, Miracle?
Malcolm X once said, I had to Google it. The white man will try to satisfy us with symbolic victories rather than economic equity and real justice. And like we said, when this first happened, you had all these Black Lives Matter murals, and we got these symbols because we were never going to get justice, because these same black political class leaders decided that they did not want to fight for working class black folks. They did not want to stop the police violence. That they didn't want to change the way policing was operating within their jurisdictions. And we got murals. So now the symbol is gone.
Yes.
And we still have injustice, and we still have police violence.
Yes.
So what is this next iteration going to look like? What is changing the way policing operates in our communities going to look like? And one things I would say here in Pittsburgh, what we have been able to do is not only change our policing contract, where that the police have a higher standard where they have to operate. We've also been able to reduce the way police show up and over police in black communities. We've been able to sit there and say, hey, we do not need black men being stopped because they have tinted windows. We do not need people being followed and harassed. We need to have a strategic laser point of where we put police officers where we know crime is going to occur and how to stop. It's not the ultimate abolitionist dream, but it's something we've been able to do. Other places still have not been able to do that. And even through that, we are still experiencing police violence here, Pittsburgh and McKeesport and other areas. And so what I would call for, I don't care about the mural, I'm very honest. I thought the mural was like lovely for artists, but it's not. We said stop killing us, and y'all gave us paint on the street.
Right.
We said we did not want our loved ones' blood to be spilled on the street, and you gave us a pretty picture. We want actions. We want policies. And I think now that we have literally seen how quick these symbols can be washed away, we now have nothing to show for 2020. We don't have the George Floyd and Policing Act.
Right.
We don't have, the task force to investigate police officers. We do not have a reduction in police train. In policing, we don't have a change in the way police are going to train. We you're no longer having to report police misconduct.
Yeah.
What do we have to show for? And this is again why progressives was right, abolitionists was right, everybody who was protesting with their demands were correct. And so here we are.
I'll take it a step further, Miracle. Not only do we not have that, right now, we can't even say BIPOC. We can't even say
I always hated that word anyway, but
racial inequity. We can't even say
You can't even mention biases.
social justice, clean energy. Wait, we can't say clean energy and climate crisis? Nope, can't say it. Multicultural? Nope.
We can't even say black.
No, victims. We can't say. We can't say victims. What do you call it then?
Can't say Gulf of Mexico, hate speech, social justice, sexuality,
but when
pronouns.
When somebody's harmed, what do you call that person? What do you call them?
Have a whole
they had it coming. Yeah.
We can't even say pregnant people. It's like
That's
people
crazy.
don't get pregnant, bro.
Hey, yo, again, this is, words that are now discouraged at federal agencies. It says agencies that issue guidance to employees.
Maybe them taking away them is going to force everybody to learn each other's names. Maybe that's a good thing.
Maybe. I don't know. Again, victims? Underprivileged. No, talk about poor people here.
Yeah.
Man.
Either get money or shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Disability.
Take your broke ass.
Yeah. So that means there's no more handicapped parking places?
Disability. Can't say anything about disability. The disparity, anti-racism, of course, activism.
So what happens if somebody brings cultural food to the office?
Again, I don't know, boy. You better get you a hot dog and put some mustard on that bad boy. Get you some apple pie. We don't accept that here. That's not American.
Man.
Coming in with your kebab. Get that out of here, man.
I do want to say to anybody in the movement that, I feel like now is a moment where, we've been noticed this, but now is a moment where we can, stop letting liberalism pacify us in our fight. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
When we are making demands and they tell us, oh, I see the issue. And you know what? I'm going to give you this symbol to let you know that I see your issue. Right. That is not enough, and we have to stop accepting that.
Absolutely.
Because accepting these symbols and accepting the pacification of our issues is, in my opinion, what made way for shit like this to happen.
Correct.
In the first place, if we actually got real systemic change, there would be no room for stuff like this. But we didn't.
Right, and it shows, right, because a symbol can be taken down or taken away. Just like when during 2020 people were tearing those statues down. Okay, the statue is down, but the ideology of that person that the statue represented is still here. In fact,
it's better than ever now.
Yeah, stronger than ever. And it's trying to take away all of our rights to even protest anymore. So you're absolutely right about wanting real wins. And Miracle mentioned it, real policy wins is one of the reasons why we got into the space to educate people around civic engagement in the first place, because we wanted to see actual policy changes. And so I think that's the hope. I mean,
what is hope?
Yeah,
keep hope alive.
Yeah.
I was talking about this in regards to this conversation. Toni Morrison said the function of white supremacy is distraction.
Yes.
I also think the function of white supremacy has been ineptitude, where we have literally sit there and said that these people they're not racist. They just don't know any better. They're just so stupid with their bigotry that they're going to ban all these words. But meanwhile, these are policies that are being taken away.
Yes.
On our C4, the One Health Power page, we posted about one of the grants was supposed to look at how fibers were impacting people and if it was causing cancers, but they thought it was for trans men, so they canceled the whole entire study.
Right.
They have taken studies away from people who've been disabled. They've been taking studies away for people who are doing cancer research because they didn't like the words that were being used, and the focus group, forgetting that when you have these research practices, everybody's able to use this research. That's what the federal government does. It does research, but it's also through IP law. Everybody's able to use it, and everybody's able to, okay, we're going to learn what this study said, then we're going to move on for this type of research. At a time when we're having bird flu, and now we have some undefined illness out there.
Yeah.
The last thing we need to be doing is cutting research into disease, and here we are.
But you know what?
All about to suffer.
Miracle, this research, kind of like a boring topic. What we want to know, Miracle, from you is how did you feel about the comments that Tim Walz made?
Yo.
It's so hard to be right. It's like
Tim Walz, who ran as vice president alongside Kamala Harris, reflected on 2024 campaign and said, quote, we shouldn't have been playing things so safe. Do you think so, Tim?
Too little, too late, man.
It's just like
Get your bully on, Miracle.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. And
We liked him.
Yeah, me too.
We liked him. We wanted Tim to be himself.
Yes.
And there were these men
Always.
who were like,
Always the men.
no, we don't need to go after Republicans.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the Biden policies that help people win. What? And the absolute mess. And this is also why people get mad at me. I said Shapiro would have gotten us over the loop.
Yeah.
Because Shapiro would have looked at those people and said, y'all are out
Have
of your
several
mind.
seats.
Yes.
And would have done his own campaign and would have done his own messaging and would have won the presidency because he would have not listened to those people. What do you mean? What do you mean you made a mistake?
He said, quote, we as a party are more cautious.
What do you mean? I don't know. Maybe saying you're not going to be publicly, picture with a Muslim wasn't a good idea. Is that what you're saying when you're safe? Maybe, only hanging out with your friends during a campaign when you need to, I don't know, get 55% of the vote to win probably wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe just like staring at a deer in the headlights during a debate when people only turned into the debate for you to call that man weird to his face.
Yes.
Wasn't a good idea. This is the stuff that makes me
Wow.
angry because people can fail up. You fail the whole entire country. And now you're like, oops. But do you know who told people to do this? It was the organizers. It was the unions. It was the Muslim organizations. It was the Black organization. It was the queer organizations.
Yeah.
When they played it safe, we don't talk enough about them playing it safe. Meant they were not visibly with trans people during the
Come on,
campaign.
Miracle.
They were not visibly with trans people during the campaign. They did not have a trans person at the DNC on the main stage for the first time in years.
Right.
That's what it meant for them playing it safe. They didn't play it safe. They threw away their base. And now they're shocked that Republicans didn't rally around them for that.
And it looks, by all accounts, like they're still playing it safe.
Of course.
Because they don't at the end, I think we could be very honest. Democrats said they wanted a big tent party because they wanted to win. And then when they started winning, they realized they actually had to fight for the people in their big tent. And they were like, Republicans, we need a strong Republican party. Where are y'all? Because it's easier to say we have to fight against Republicans than it is to sit there and pass policies that make people's lives better when you do not believe they should be living better.
Absolutely.
And it's easier to pass the buck when you have a Republican Party that's like out loud failing the American people so that they could just sit back and be like, well, we're not doing it.
Right. How out loud trouble? It says the USDA cancels $1 billion in local food purchasing for schools and food banks. So now you done lost your job. You done got fired and you can't even go to the food bank to get you. Hey, bro. Hey, remember Miracle talked about it like these farming rural white people, they got their little, they're doing military training.
Yeah.
They got their guns. I mean, mess around with them if you want to, man. With that being said, our white pages of the week dedicated to yesterday, Monday, March the 10th was the Black Women's Day of Rest.
Yeah.
They made me work.
Unfortunately,
you look at numbers. I'm just like, the one thing I hate is numbers.
Unfortunately, we had scheduled
A spreadsheet.
a very important work day weeks in advance, not knowing. So Miracle would get another day off. Why? Because Miracle's unbossed. Did you think Miracle wasn't in charge? Unbossed, how Black girls are leading the way. This is Christy Lauren Adams. That is our white pages for today. When Black girls lead, we all win.
But we're in our soft girl era starting tomorrow.
Okay, starting tomorrow. Got you.
Messed up today.
Oh yeah, got you messed up today. We're gonna get the numbers right, and then we'll get back at it to where we need to go. Final words.
Even though it is Ramadan, I found like this new salmon salad recipe, and I'm very excited to try it.
Okay.
So me and the bears are again depleting the salmon population.
Okay,
and I
got you.
feel very bad about it.
Got you.
But I thank them for their service.
When the sun goes down, you're gonna get busy. I got you. Trouble.
Never lose sight.
Sir,
Let's get out of here.
let's get out of here. Well, with that being said, this week in white supremacy. See y'all next week. Peace. One hood.